Welcome to Bond Park. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Marshall.
And welcome to part 3 of our special 3-part series, Where It All Began. Get it?
We're going to open up. We spent a beautiful, hot August morning at Agos Boat Fish and Chips in Woolwich. And we talked to owner Sean Dell Samuel about his food choices.
Yeah, our conversation with Sean Dell was very moving. We did an entire episode with him last year in season 3. But then we also got to talking about, his food choices and how he got to where he is and how this business came to be for him with pescatarianism. And then we get to talk to Mike and Jimmy Jack.
Yeah, so Mike is well known as Mike Jack Eats Heat. He's a multi-world record holder. He's in the Guinness World Records and Ripley's Believe It or Not. And this is a pretty in-depth conversation we have with Mike and his partner, Jamie.
Here we go.
Welcome to Bond Park.
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 Melinda's Hot Sauce is quality. We are for those who are past the basic. We're for folks that appreciate flavor just as much as they do heat. From seed to bottle, we focus on important things. Each of our 31 craft pepper sauces begins with the freshest ingredients and the best chili peppers on the planet. This is the Melinda's way. Anyone can strike a match, but few can strike a balance. A balance where heat and flavor find themselves on equal footing. Melinda's Hot Sauce. Set your mouth on flavor. Visit melindas.com to find a store near you.
Are you a charity, nonprofit, or Indigenous governing body that needs to modernize or adapt your organization to respond to COVID-19?
The Government of Canada recently launched the Community Services Recovery Fund to support Canadian community service organizations.
Together, Waterloo Region Community Foundation and United Way Waterloo Region Communities have $2.8 million to distribute across Waterloo Region, with additional funding available through Red Cross.
Applications are open until February 21st. Learn more and apply at communityservicesrecoveryfund.ca. You can also call Waterloo Region Community Foundation or United Way for more details.
Sean Dell Samuels, owners of Agos Boat Fish and Chips, at the outskirts of Waterloo in Woolwich at the St. Jacob's Market, located in the parking lot of the antique shop. Like, I grew up, I'm 42 years old. My birthday was the 11th.
Happy birthday.
We were here. My nephew was here. We were all here. One of the best, out. Stay with me forever because we had a great day. And so I grew up in that era of kind of seeing both sides of the spectrum and seeing how things kind of transferred over. And I remember when I was a kid, growing up with my aunts, my mom, there was no violence on TV after 9 o'clock, before 9 o'clock. Like, Unsolved Mysteries didn't come on until 9 o'clock. I remember I would hear the music and I would be in the room, even kissing and, but nowadays, the desensitized station, there is no more, so kids are seeing, people get murdered just so easily. So it's nothing to them, but that's not the way of the natural human life. Like, if we were to let this world be, it would eat all this up and be back to beauty. You know, it would be back to nature and you know, and animals would be flourishing again, and the way of life we're living, we're extinct. We're you know, look how much animals we sent extinct already, just for comfort. You know, for our comfort, for our, you know, and I mean, you know, you wanna live a good life and enjoy your life, but when it's on the heads of other people, that's when it becomes a problem. And if we're not playing a role to reverse it, then we're playing a role to make it happen. If we're just sitting there with our mouth closed, you know, I mean, we are putting ourselves at risk saying something sometimes, a lot of us, because the higher the position you are, the more you say, the more attention you're going to get, and the more people are going to come for you. You know what I mean? But I think for me, I think I've enjoyed my life. I really have. I'm 42 years old. I don't feel like I'm 42. I feel like I'm 18, but I feel mentally like I'm 60, and now I got to do it for my kids. You know, it's such a entangled, weird way to feel. You know, the average person at 42 would be going to buy a motorcycle and go through a midlife crisis and riding down the highway, and you know what I mean. But now I feel like I have to do so much more work in the next how much ever time I got to do something for this next generation. And when I say my kids, I don't mean literally my kids. I mean all these kids, because they're all mine. You know, I love them all the same, and I want to see their future grow bright. You know, so yeah, that's where.
Take us into a little story about when you became a pescatarian and why you've stayed that way.
Yeah, my life as a pescatarian is a very interesting one. I went to Oakwood High School. While I was going to Oakwood, I was doing a science project on the mass production of fast food. So I chose KFC as, not to knock on KFC, don't come for me for any reason, but I chose KFC as the place I would do the research on. So in the middle of this project, I went back to Grenada for the first time since I've been to Canada. This is 1995. I'm 15 years old. And, you know, I'm eating pizza and pepperoni pizza and KFC and Swiss Chalet and whatnot before I went to Grenada. When I go to Grenada, I visit my dad. My brothers and them were all there. And my dad has a bunch of yard fowls, we call it, like, you know, chickens grown in the yard. And he's like, hey, pick a fowl, like pick a chicken. We're going to do a cook up for your, you know, you coming home. And I was like, I don't know nothing. Like, I don't know what to pick. Like, you know, he's like, all right, that one's ready. You know, so he goes and he gets this chicken, cleans it, cooks it up. And long story short, this is the best chicken I've had. So when I came back to Canada now, I was like, what's the, you know, why is the taste so different? After doing research, after finishing this project, I noticed that the manner that our food is grown in up here, it's just overpopulated. The steroids that they're being given, the you know, to survive in that kind of condition, antibiotics that they're given, and this is why a lot of us are having problems with antibiotics now, because it's being passed down through the meat, right? So a lot of that just came to knowledge at such a young age. So at 15 years old, it was a struggle because my mom, we make a thing in the island called pilau, which is like mixed rice with chicken and stuff like that. So, you know, I would be out, you know, smoking weed, getting home and starving, you know, and the only thing that would be there was this pilau, you know. So at first I would scrape around the chicken and eat the rice and the vegetables and stuff like that, right? And then it just came to a point where I was like, nah, you can't even do that. You're cheating yourself, you know what I mean? So I slowly stopped from there, and that's what really pushed me into cooking also. Because when I stopped eating meat at home, especially, my mom wasn't like, oh, I'm making fish for you today. It's like, when she makes fish, she makes fish. You know, when she makes chicken, that's what you're eating, right? So I started to get into, you know, starting to create my own styles of cooking and my own ways of cooking with her, you know, ideals, obviously, because I always looked over my mom's shoulder while she was in the kitchen cooking, right? So yeah, that really drive me towards the stopping process. But over the years, I've had so much other family members that stopped also. And I guess when I was so young, I didn't really realize the benefits to it. I just thought, you know, at the same time, I was, you know, smoking at such a young age. I thought, well, if I can eat better, I can better help myself to live a healthier life, you know. That's what, you know. But after, like, my few cousins stopped, and they mentioned the way that they find that their thought process was different, was so much more pure was so much more easier to get so much of their processes out. Whereas before it was a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, and I think it has to do a lot with the meats, because especially when we get older, our body don't break the meats down in the fashion that we did when we were younger. And as a culture, we're just getting lazier. We're not, we have smart everything now. We don't get up and exercise. We don't, like, my youngest is 4, and his teacher was actually saying that the kids at that age have a problem running. Like they have a problem running. They don't have a problem reading an iPad, and this kid's brilliant. He can, 4 years old, he's doing math that I can't even do, right? But that really pushed me towards it. So as I stopped myself, and other family members stopped also, they pointed out the benefits that they found in it, and then it just really, challenged me to stay this way. And I have no intent of turning back, because I think, the fashion that we eat meats in our society, it's gluttonous. It's not to feed ourselves. It's beyond. It's extra. It's almost savagery. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's really why I'm trying to bring a knowledge and an understanding to people. There's not necessarily, I don't expect everybody to give up meats, but look at other aspects of eating. You look at silverback gorillas, they don't eat meat, and they're one of the biggest animals. You look at elephants, they don't eat meat, and they're, gorillas. You can go on for rhinos, you can go on for ages of animals that don't eat meat, and they're very, so if you want to say, it's a protein aspect, and no, you're just filling yourself with whatever, I think really and truly it's on us to make the knowledge and, help our world too, right? And I think that's, for me, that's what the if I can stop and kind of lead people to be more conscious about it, and helps our whole society. We know Big Pharma has to get his money, so he's going to do whatever he has to do to make people eat meat still, but you might have to edit that out, but
no, we don't have to. This is our show. Yeah. We don't have to edit anything.
That was
super.
I find it, sorry, I always feel like you can hear me because we usually all have headphones on. I find it really interesting that you said people say it's a protein aspect or a protein issue. The Canadian government decides what we're going to eat based on what they have to sell, right? So, what was that, just like 3 years ago? They're like, actually, the food pyramid looks like this.
Yes,
We're like, wait a minute, this isn't what you taught us, but that's how we've been eating for such a long time.
Right.
It's all about, the big farmer and mostly government, because the government decides what we're going to be planting and what we're going to be selling, and if we're going to be selling it across the border or not. And by that amount of money that comes in, they recommend what we should be intaking.
It's crazy. We really don't have a choice. Like you go into a grocery store, and the only thing that's really good for you is the stuff that's on the walls. Mm-hmm. The stuff in the middle, it's been there it could stay. I mean, it has a date on it that says best before, but you can really eat it like a year after, and it's still good. So really and truly, we really have to be conscious of our foods. I think you are what you eat. When they say that, not necessarily a pig if you eat pig, but it does lead to the health aspect of who you are. You know what I mean? So I think and it's not just physical health. For me, it's very much a mind state. I find when you eat this way, Marshall, you're a pescatarian, and you can probably mention that too, right? Your mind state, a vegetarian, like a lot of people that do, and I give heavy kudos to people, to vegetarians and vegans, because, it's a world that's really too hard to feed yourself every day, because our society is going the other way. You can get a burger and fries anywhere. You want to get a good salad somewhere, good luck.
Hey, we're here. We're here and we're ready to rock.
Hey, I'm Mike Jack. I'm a competitive pepper eater with a bunch of Guinness World Records.
I'm Jamie Jack. I'm Mike's wife and also his coach.
Oh my gosh, a coach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very interested in this. Is there a lot of we haven't officially started yet, but I'm wondering, is there a lot of cold cloths to the forehead, or is it more just pumping you up? What does the coach role involve? I'm being serious. I'm not being facetious.
I don't think it's so much cold cloth as it is wiping boogies from his nose.
Oh, romance, huh? It's such an intimate part of the relationship.
It's kind of like I'm Rocky and she's my Mickey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of consider pepper eating to be like boxing. So your opponent is the peppers. So I'm kind of like that coach beside you, being like, you can do it, like keep going.
Bum, 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 bum.
We probably shouldn't sing it for too long. We'd have to like buy it. Do you have like a safety kit that you bring? Like, I mean, if I was going to go to my kids' like volleyball game, I would, and I'm not the coach or assistant or anything, but I would probably bring a kit with like some snacks, some water, maybe some Band-Aids and, you know, some Advil or something that they might need. Do you have like some kind of go bag?
Yeah, well, I kind of bring like my own stuff. You know, we're pretty into like zero waste in that. So usually they provide like some kind of, you know, napkins or paper towels, but I bring my own like kind of reusable cloths to, you know, I have them color coded. So there's one for like my eyes and one for my nose. Yeah, so I bring that. Usually Jamie has like a bunch of water for me for after to kind of more just like rinse my mouth out and stuff like that after crazy competition or challenge, stuff like that. So
tell us about your world records.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So I've broken 8 Guinness World Records.
Can we just take a second to be like, way to go?
Oh, thank you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I do not wake up every morning and go, wow, I'm awesome.
I don't know. I still do that. But yeah, I broke 8 Guinness World Records. Like, to be honest, since like December, a lot of people have been trying them, and a lot of them have been broken. So I have to try to get some of them back. But yeah, I broke 8 of them, and that earned me like a half page in the 2022 book, which was pretty exciting. Seeing like a couple pictures of me in the, you know, the Guinness book that I've been, you know, looking at since I was a kid and everything. So yeah, I started off with Pepper Records. So right now I still have the Guinness record for most ghost peppers eaten in 2 minutes. And I had broken, fastest time to eat 3 ghost peppers, most ghost peppers in 1 minute, and fastest time to eat 3 Carolina Reaper peppers. And then, Guinness Records really liked the videos that I was sending them and stuff, because, you know, I'm kind of goofy and stuff like that. I guess they thought that was entertaining, and they asked me if I could send in more, and I said, I have to wait till it's pepper season. Like it's kind of a short couple month season in Canada for the super hot peppers. So they were just like, is there any other records besides hot peppers that you would like to do? And I was like, well, I always thought it would be cool to break like some kind of like speed eating food record that's like, you know, traditionally not vegan, but like make it vegan. Like, you know, I was thinking if I could break like fastest time to eat a burger, like most burgers eaten in a minute or something like that, but they're actually like, you know, vegan friendly burgers. I tried a few of them. Now the ones for burgers were like pretty quick. You know, I consider myself like I'm pretty fast for like, you know, somebody who concentrates on peppers, but there are people who are like, you know, really fast at eating, you know, competitive eaters have been doing it for a long time and that. Yeah, so I ended up breaking like a few of them though. I still have the world record for fastest time to eat a head of lettuce.
What are we talking here? Like an iceberg head, or like what are we talking about?
It's I chose an iceberg lettuce. You could choose like any kind of lettuce you wanted. It just had to be like a certain weight. But yeah, I thought an iceberg lettuce would be easier for me, and I ended up beating it by like a lot, the record. And
is it like a guinea pig? Like just kind of, I watched a guinea pig eat like a piece of lettuce, just kind of.
Oh yeah.
Or do you pick it up like an apple?
I kind of like palmed it like a basketball, sort of, just like I was, I was just, Shaquille O'Neal going for a dunk, but I just used my mouth instead of a net, I guess. So, but yeah, so I still have that one, which is I'm pretty proud of, because that's an interesting record. I also had records for fastest time to eat a banana without using your hands, which was you
have to peel it,
which was pretty fun. Yeah, you have to peel it with not your hands. So I used my mouth. I thought that was a good.
So you don't have to eat the peel or the stem, but you have to get in there and eat the.
Yeah, banana. You have to eat the part that you'd usually eat, I guess. Huh. Yeah. So yeah, that was a fun record.
Is there a video of this online?
There is.
Okay,
yeah,
I gotta check it out.
It's on my YouTube. Mike Jack Eats Eat. So yeah, I had that. I still have that record. Or no, sorry, for the banana one, I don't have that record anymore. That one got beat. And then I also had most almonds eaten in a minute, and fastest time to drink 1 liter of tomato sauce. So those records got beat, but I gotta say, at least like, you know, the people who took those records from me are like really good. Like they're like world class, you know, competitive eaters and a chugger. So
it's like an honor to be beaten by them.
Yeah, to be honest, it is. Like I'm like, oh, like, you know, because the competitive eater that took like 2 of my records there, the banana one, the almond one, it's Leah Schuckever, who's like one of the best like speed eaters in the world. She's from the UK and stuff like that, and she actually had like a full page thing in Guinness Records 2021. So I had a little blurb on the same page as her, and I was like pretty honored by that. And then the next year I got like the, you know, kind of the same treatment. So that was amazing for me. So then my one of the best chuggers in the world, Badland Chugs, he's the one who took my record for drinking the tomato sauce, and he has a bunch of Guinness records for, you know, drinking like 2 liters of soda and stuff like that. And he has a pretty established YouTube channel where he just chugs stuff like crazy. He's part of like Major League Eating and stuff like that. You know, the people who eat like the hot dogs at you know. So yeah, another amazing guy. So
Jamie, is there anything interesting to talk about when you sit around with family and friends?
Well, it was last weekend. We went to visit friends, and they have 2 daughters, and they have the Guinness book. So the kids like love looking through the book, and they were sitting beside Mike, and they were both kind of like mesmerized and like asking him tons of questions about like eating and that. So that was kind of funny. We always bring sauce with us when we go, so most of them like want to try it, and then we're like, okay, just try like it's gone to the point now that they know the sauce is hot, so just try a little bit and then see if like you can handle it or not.
Yeah, I feel pretty honored when it's like like kids like that, like like one of our friends' kids was like just so shy, and like kind of like, because she like knew me from like the book and all this, and I was just like, I'm just like a normal dude, you know what I mean? Like but yeah, it's kind of neat. And then I was with one of our another couple of our friends. Like we were looking through the Guinness book with their kids, and I just happened to point to Smoking Ed Curry, who's on the same page as me. You know, the creator of the world's hottest pepper, the Carolina Reaper, you know, according to Guinness Records and that. And I pointed to him and was like, oh yeah, like I know this guy here too. And they were like they thought that was pretty cool. And then we're flipping through the book, and they're like, oh, do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? And I'm like, no, I don't know. I don't know every single person in the book. You know what I mean?
We don't all get together and
yeah,
but that would be fun.
It would be super fun. Yeah. Cause I don't know, like
world's longest fingernails.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the stuff in, you know, Guinness Records is like pretty amazing stuff. Like I'm just like, wow, like I couldn't imagine doing some of this stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, I guess some people, you know, a lot of people think it's like amazing the stuff that I do, but I'm like, I don't know, like I just like eat these peppers or whatever. But like some people are doing like, you know, crazy things. Like, I don't know, it's like somebody's going downstairs bouncing on their head and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, like that's like insane. But yeah, I don't know, it's kind of neat being in the same book as those people. So
it's also kind of like funny because my parents are like 2 of Mike's like biggest fans.
Oh,
like,
I love that.
They like love coming to everything and watching all the videos.
So Mike, I met you at Wingapalooza, which was an event in St. Jacobs hosted by Taste the Fourth Sense, which is Sarah's and my favorite hot sauce emporium.
Mm-hmm. That's where I get the twisted ketchup.
Yeah, that's right. The best ketchup around, twisted ketchup. And what were you 2 doing there?
Oh, I was there just I don't know, as a personality, I guess, and I was sampling my hot sauce that I have made by Dawson's Hot Sauce, Mike Jack Eats Heat, Tropical Fury hot sauce,
which is delicious.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Dawson's did an amazing job with that. Yeah, so I had that, and I had you know, Guinness books and stuff, just meeting people and that, and then. Yeah, and Jamie did the celebrity wing competition.
Tell us about that.
So they kind of asked Mike, hey, do you know any like vegans who would be interested in doing the contest? And then Mike was like, yeah, sure, Jamie will do it. And then after, you know, as it got to the time, I was like, oh no, like what am I getting myself into? So it was good. There was like 5, so it was 3 wings each round, and then there was 5 rounds, and then the last round was like it had a soy sauce on it, the Cherry Noble one, and then it was just coated in pepper powder as well. So it was hot, and then I could not eat my 3 in the time limit.
And what were your wings made of?
Mine were cauliflower.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yes, they were good.
So we were talking about some of the fun rules surrounding like a wing eating competition. Let's go through those.
So that one had a lot, and I wasn't used to it. So I was wearing gloves.
Yeah.
So it was like, you can't touch your face, which I tend to touch my face to like wipe my sweat. And I work in a lab, so I'm used to like, I've learned to touch my face with my arm and stuff like that. But I was like, oh no, like you can't even do that. You couldn't wipe your mouth. You couldn't drink. A lot of times you can't stand up either.
Oh, I assumed this was starting from a standing position. So like you're seated eating these.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd need to stand like to attack this situation, like to be on guard, like be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it actually looks, I saw it for a few minutes. It's very formal looking. Everybody's sitting in a certain way, has exactly the same portions. Of
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they were good. So they did 3 wings and then 3 wings for me. So it wasn't by weight, because obviously, if you're eating the meat ones, there's a bone, whereas cauliflower, you eat the whole thing. So it's just naturally going to be more that you consume.
And you came in second place.
I did.
Yeah,
Way to go.
congrats.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done.
You guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
We're very impressed.
Hey,
Maybe
wait.
we're a little bit starstruck ourselves.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Will you take us through your vegan lifestyle? Like, explain that journey to us.
Yeah, for sure. We're vegan and we do vegan stuff, and
You're saying it like when I tell people to. I'm just gonna like preamble your story. I'm gonna interrupt with my own. Like Marshall's a longtime vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian since I was 12, and just recently flipped to veganism. I've flirted with Our Lady Vegan in the past, but have recently done that flip. But I always feel like when people ask the question, I'm kind of like don't be weirded out. It's just a personal choice, and I feel like you kind of started in that way as well. Do you sometimes feel that way?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. It's just like I guess after you've been vegan for a while, like you just don't even really think about it. Like I don't know. Like I guess you're constantly reminded like sometimes, but sometimes you just kind of forget that non-vegan things even like exist.
Yeah,
like sometimes
exactly.
I don't know. You're used to going to like the same kind of restaurants, getting the same kind of thing, and like buying the same kind of food, and you form habits and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess when we started, like it was more like I think Jamie was pretty interested in it, and we had kind of started doing like an organic diet, I guess, was kind of what we started out with. Like like we were concerned about animal welfare and stuff like that. And I know it's like kind of naive to think this way now, but we were kind of like, like at least like organic, like the animals are treated like a little bit better and stuff like that. And and then I guess what really got us like really into it is we just we started getting a little bit interested in veganism and stuff like that. So we watched some documentaries on Netflix, and then after watching after watching the first one, I was just like, okay, like that's I'm like vegan now. I think it was Forks Over Knives, I think was the first one we watched, and then we watched like a couple more. But as we were watching the other ones, like I already had it in my mind that I was just like, okay, just like as of like right now, like let's just so we just like gave away a lot of our like pretty much all of our like non-vegan stuff that we had around, and like all of the food for sure. There was like a couple things that we like kind of kept, because I was like, I don't know, because we're also into like zero waste, and I didn't want to things I couldn't give away, but like I would just be like throwing them out. I kept like I had some, it made me feel a little weird, but I had some like leather slippers that I kept for a while until they kind of fell apart, sort of thing. And
can I get in here? This is something that I talked to Marshall about, and that I think about a lot too. Like I still have products, because leather products last a very long time. I still have some stuff like shoes and a belt, and like I'm not going to throw them out until they fall apart, because that's defeating the purpose, right? Yeah. I mean, you could donate, I suppose, and then that's true too. Like if you're going to buy secondhand something that is an animal product, is that still okay? Because you're still at least honoring that this thing happened and like it's not going to waste. I struggle with that sometimes a little bit, but we don't want it to be created new.
Yeah, for sure.
But if it's already in your life or in a secondhand store, should we just keep using that just to at least honor that life that was once?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess you have to just do what you're comfortable with and stuff, right? So, I tend to, even secondhand, I try not to, like, personally, I try not to get stuff just because I'll just like think about it and be like, this was like, somebody's like skin and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But, I'm not gonna judge anybody for like doing that or whatever. Like, I don't know. Cause you just have to do what you're comfortable with and stuff like that. And, like I was really big into like leather jackets and stuff like that. I thought, they're like super cool. And, especially when I was younger, I was really into like, metal music and stuff like that. And, leather jackets kind of lend themselves to that. But I just, they were in good enough condition that I was like, I can donate these and like somebody's going to like pick them up. And, trying to make sure like, the sale of it goes to like charity and stuff like that. Cause that stuff's important to me as well. So, I parted with my leather jackets and stuff like that. Maybe that was kind of like the thing that I was kind of the most attached to that I parted with and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't feel right. Like, just like thinking about what things are made of, you know what I mean? And you're just like, this is like, I don't know. It's like wearing somebody's skin. I just didn't feel comfortable with it, but yeah.
Jamie, that must have been pretty smooth when the two of you make choices together. It's like a shared philosophy, right?
Yeah.
And say, we're both going to head down this road.
Because you and Sylvia
together.
did too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, January 1st, 2000. That's it, and it made things easier. I don't completely agree with the idea that, like for me, I'm reminded of my vegetarianism every single day. I do all the shopping for our family, for groceries and stuff like that. This evening, Sarah and I are going to record another podcast in a restaurant for this episode, right? And right off the bat, I look at the menu, right? Okay, oh, good, nice. They have a vegetarian section. That makes it easy, right?
Yeah.
But I find myself constantly reminded that we are one in whatever.
Yeah.
1,000. I don't know what that number looks like, but it's everywhere, especially the supermarket, right?
Yeah. Something I think that's interesting is like when you're listening to the radio, like how much you're just like, it's almost like every other ad is like telling people to like, go to McDonald's and get this burger, like you're gonna love it and stuff like that. And you always hear like people saying like, oh, like, you're vegan, like don't impose your, beliefs on me and stuff. And I'm like, if you listen to the radio, like every other ad is like imposing
crispy McChicken.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that you brought that up. It's so true because the norm is usually afraid by a little shakeup, right?
Yeah.
And like, we're not imposing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not out, actively protesting like some of our other guests for this series do. But again, it's like get your thick, juicy burgers and like, and it's always like, come down to the community center. We have hot dogs for the kids, on the radio. This stuff is always going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely easy to like switch together. Like about a month before we went vegan, I stopped eating what I called like land meat. Mm-hmm. So like pork, chicken, beef. And then Mike was kind of like starting to do that too. And then when we watched Forks Over Knives, like I'll never forget it because we got to the part about fish and then I was like, pause it. I was like, because once I watch this, I'm never going to eat like animals from the sea again. So I always like remember that. And then like, cause we were getting big into like environmental stuff like that too. So yeah, we were like, okay, it's important to we want to do it right now. So let's take everything that's in our fridge and freezer and then we donated it to like family, friends, the food bank, stuff like that, just because we didn't want it to go to waste.
Mm-hmm. I think that part's important.
Yeah. And then we kind of like, Mike's big on like using our our small little platform that we have to like show people that like vegan food isn't French fries and salad. Like look at this insane like
or a bun.
Yes, look at this like insanely delicious looking burrito that we got from this like restaurant that's like delicious and you would never know, kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's kind of different as like, you know, being a kind of competitive eater and stuff. Like obviously, like, you know, concentrating on peppers is like easy because, you know, they're obviously, you know, like a fruit, like it's like a vegan thing and stuff like that. But then, you know, I like doing, you know, other kind of competitive eating things, but, you know, barely any of them are like vegan friendly and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's kind of neat on our platform because the majority of people that follow us like aren't vegan, but we like, you know, we show all the cool like vegan stuff, and I love just like weird like fusion foods and things and stuff like that. So yeah, I love like, you know, posting stuff like that. But
yeah, there's some amazing photos on your Instagram. Yeah.
So I was just gonna say you're bringing the rock star to the vegan life through this like hot sauce love and this
thank
hot
you.
pepper
Yeah.
love. I really think you are. Sorry, Marshall.
Yeah, so why don't you talk a bit about some of your favorite foods? Like I know sometimes you strike up a conversation with a vegetarian or a vegan and they say, or in Sarah's case, yeah, not really into the simulated meat, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and many people are like, well, I don't really want that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously it's very popular because that Beyond Meat in the supermarket now takes up an enormous amount of space, right?
Yeah.
And many other products that look like that, the Impossible Burger, the list goes on and on and on, right?
Yeah.
Where are you guys at with that kind with soy tofu simulated?
Like I'm like, you know, like I'm cool with it and stuff like that. Like I don't want to like, you know, eat it every day and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I'm not like, I don't know, people think like, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, like vegan, like you must just eat like salads all the time. But I'm like Jamie actually is making like some really awesome like salads now with like a lot of different things in it. But like besides that, I'm like not really like a salad guy. Like I guess my favorite foods are, I always tell people like I just eat what, you know, everybody else eats except, you know, without the animal cruelty. Like we love like pizza and burritos and tacos, like falafel wraps. Yeah, just stuff like that, I guess. So yeah, those are kind of like my main favorite things, but at the same time, don't eat those all the time. Like we eat a lot of like stir fries and stuff like that.
At the beginning, we ate mostly beans and tofu.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then kind
And
of,
rice dishes.
And rice.
Yeah.
I feel like that in the last couple of years is when there's just been like flux of all of the like.
You can get anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The products are like, it's a good time to be vegan. There's tons of products.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people say to me like, but isn't eating vegan so expensive? And I'm like you can get a bag of dried beans for like $3.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, a thing of tofu costs like $2. It's not very expensive. I mean, it could be if you're eating all the stimulated meat every day and every meal, but if you're not, it's very cheap.
Side note, if you do go to the farmer's market, I'll cut this out. Sen Cuisine, what did they rebrand as? They have a new name.
I heard they were rebranding, but I haven't seen
I
it.
went out there the other day. I'll look before you
Okay.
leave. They make their own tofu. And
Oh,
it's
nice.
like,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they sell it in these big blocks. You
Yeah,
can get that out there. if
super
you go.
simple ingredients.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah. But yeah, I guess like no matter what, you know, like processed food isn't like the healthiest stuff and whatever, but I don't know, like I don't really have that big of a problem with eating, you know, like Beyond Burgers and stuff like that. Like, you know, probably, you know, not a good idea to eat it like all the time. And it is like processed stuff, but just like, I just feel like it's, you know, it's more healthy than, if you're looking at it from a health perspective, you know, it's more healthy than eating like, you know, like beef burgers and stuff like that, I'd say. Cause you know, there's no cholesterol in it. And, you know, like, you know, the you know, biggest causes of death of like, you know, people eating like an American diet earlier, you know, like heart attacks and cancer. And that's, you know, you're more likely to get a heart attack the more cholesterol you eat. And even if you're eating, you know, Beyond Burgers and stuff, it's still like you're eating a zero cholesterol diet on like a vegan diet. So when you look at it like that, I think it's more healthy than, you know, eating meat. And then obviously with the vegan mindset, you know, like nobody's being, you know, like killed and tortured or, you know, raped or, you know, all this, you know, all the bad things that as a society we do to animals, you know, producing, you know, plant-based burgers. So that's kind of my main reason.
I think there's a lot of reasons to be frustrated though. I think about how I've seen this recently where you walk into a grocery store and an elementary school is taking a tour through the grocery store to learn about a grocery store and foods and all these things. And I saw this. They head over to the seafood aisle section, and they show off the lobsters in the tanks and take the lobsters out with the elastics around their claws and show them to the kids. And I can't believe nobody's had a discussion about this, right? Like, this is actually happening, right? And these kids are all going to go back to school and go home thinking everything's okay here, right?
Well, yeah, it's just like, to be honest, that's like, there's sad things in a grocery store, but that's seeing the lobsters. It's like, I don't know. I get, walking past the tank, I like try to avoid it because it gets me like a little worked up. You know what I mean? But yeah, just like, if you think about just like the way, just like the beef and the dairy industry have just like infiltrated our educational system. Like, I can just remember like as a kid, you're just like drawing, coloring in like little pictures of happy cows in the field and that, and just like, I don't know, all the like kind of children's like farm toys and stuff. And you're just like, oh, everything's, happy go lucky sort of thing. And just like having like things like, that's full on have like the, dairy logos on them and stuff, like as a child, just like, just coloring or like, what sound does a cow make and things like that. It's just like all innocent, like fun things that just like kind of starts you off. And then just like the Canadian food guide is like changed, which is like
it flipped upside down.
Which is like amazing. But just like, I don't know, like I remember just like a few years ago, like our niece was like really confused, like when we were telling her like how we don't drink milk and stuff like that, and and she was like, but if you don't drink milk, you're gonna die. And we're just like, whoa, like this, like, it's just like,
no, if a calf doesn't drink milk, it might die.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna be fine.
Yeah, but it's just like the way they've like just infiltrated, the education system, and just like they've kind of just like through like advertising, they're just, it's brainwashing people. People are animals. Like we have, we're the same. Like we're all earthlings. Like we all, I guess we all don't have 2 eyes, 2 ears, a heart and stuff like that. But like, animals, they have those things, and we're the same. And it's kind of the same. I see it as like the same kind of discrimination against animals as like it is against, different races or different sexes and stuff like that. Like, it's like you can't focus on the differences. Like we should be focusing on like what's the same. The animals that people eat, like, pigs are like super intelligent. Like they say that the average pig has a higher IQ than the average dog. And like nobody's going to be like eating their dog. And people have these relationships with cats and dogs, but they don't understand that, pigs and cows are the same. Like, it's easier for people to, see them as like, oh, they're just like dumb animals, but maybe that helps people like sleep better at night, but they're not. Like they're, they care for their young like we do. They have, they build families when they're not, being separated by humans.
2 weeks ago, my family was at a place where suddenly there was a petting zoo set up.
Yeah.
And there's a family, look at the piggy, showing the kids the piggies and pet the piggies. Ooh, the piggy's really rough, not as soft as they thought, right? But the dad's eating like a sausage on a bun, right? And I just feel like, are your brains not processing this moment right now?
Yeah.
And what's coming out of your mouth and what's going in your mouth.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we mentioned Earthlings. Sarah knows this, that the film that really did it for me back in 1999 was the film Earthlings.
That's one of our first connections. I don't know, 16 years ago,
you
lent it to me at the park.
And I lent it to you.
At Bond Park.
That's right. And for me, the opening sequence in which it's Joaquin Phoenix talking, and he's saying, we are all Earthlings. We're just different species. And it shows humans moving through a big city like Japan, or a big city in Japan. And then it shows kangaroos, going like a overhead shot, right, of kangaroos moving across someplace in Australia, right? And it shows a million like shrimp in the ocean, right? And for me, that's like, God, that's got to be the most powerful opening to any film I've ever seen. It really hammers it home that we're just all different species. But for some reason, the humans are the one species that seem to depend on all others. And I don't think any of the others need us for anything.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right?
No, in fact,
no, they
it's
don't.
quite the opposite.
Yeah. They need nothing from us.
Yeah.
In fact, if we just went away,
it'd be better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that they need from us is they need us to like leave them alone. You know what I mean? Like we're just like going in and just destroying their environments and, like, enslaving them essentially and stuff like that. Right. So people are an invasive species. They're just, they're terrible for the world and stuff like that. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to, see themselves as the bad guys, essentially. Like, humans are, if there are monsters in this world, it's people, you know what I mean? So, cause you just, like if you just think about it, like I saw a meme on Facebook that kind of summed it up. It's like, people have this like fear of aliens, right? But it's because they're afraid that aliens are going to like treat humans the way we treat other animals. And I've thought about it before. Like if you think about, like sci-fi things, like if there was like, if you watch like, episode of Star Trek or something like that, and they like go to a world and there's like, like two like kind of dominant kind of aliens or whatever, and one is like kind of enslaving the other one and like stuff like that. Like you're gonna be like, those are the bad guys, like they're enslaving the other people, but like they're just two different species on a planet. And when you look at our own planet, like what are we doing to the other species? Like we're the bad guys. Like we're enslaving these animals and essentially like raping them into existence, and then we're enslaving the innocent. We're like murdering them in adolescence, and for like no real reason, like just because it's like what we've done in the past, and just because it's like what people like enjoy or what they're like used to eating. But it's like there's all this other stuff that's like you can eat that's like way better for you, and it's like enjoyable as well,
and
like especially
available.
Nowadays. Yeah, and readily available. Exactly.
I talked to my brother on the phone yesterday. He's in rural Newfoundland.
Hi, David.
Just sitting on the ground. He's got almost no belongings. He's just surrounding himself with nature. And he thinks about how there's a lot of people really preoccupied and interested in knowing if there's life out there in the universe, right?
Yeah.
He says, meanwhile, how much do you actually know about all these species and animals right here on your own planet?
Yeah.
And how many of you just kind of don't give a second thought to driving over a frog with your truck, driving somewhere? He says, why are you looking out that way so desperately, take a look at what's around you and sit down on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whenever I see like a baby or a young kid, I always think like a pig is smarter than this baby.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, babies are born so dumb.
Yeah, like
I've had to. Like they need you for everything.
Yeah. But like animal babies don't.
No, they get up and they go.
Yeah, and I just see this baby and I'm like, a pig is smarter than you. Like,
yeah.
I also think that like we were conditioned to believe that like that we need to drink cow's milk because the cow is overproducing milk. And then I say to people, okay, but you stopped drinking your mother's milk, or you stopped producing milk for your child. So why are animals like they're doing the same thing as that? We're just forcing them to keep producing. And we're the only species that drinks a different species' milk.
What if that was reversed? What if we were hooked up like that? It's a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
But like, should we talk a little bit about like not necessarily naysayers, but the other side? Like Marshall and I have interviewed a few butchers and a deli shop owner, and these are people making a living in town and raising their families and living the farm life. And between our two cities, we're in Waterloo, you're in London, a lot of agriculture between here and there. That's a really hard sell. Hey, why don't you shut this whole thing down and come join us on this sort of enlightened side?
I'm pretty hardcore, I guess, or optimistic to be like, well, you can just change. Like so much in society has changed, but it will happen eventually, and maybe it won't happen in our lifetime, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, like change is hard, especially like if it's your like livelihood and everything, right? So I've always, I think like maybe this will happen at some point, and I think maybe it has happened in some like countries in like Europe and stuff like that, but it's almost like there should be some like kind of like government incentive or some kind of like help to like help people like in these businesses like change over.
And of course, the magic reason why it isn't happening is money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there's so much money, government money, like taxpayer money going into these, like into the beef industry and into the dairy industry, which like maybe don't really like need it so much. Like those people seem to be doing pretty well. And then it's almost like, I thought it was ridiculous. Like the last time there was a, talk of all this, billions of dollars or whatever going to the dairy industry, or like right afterwards there was all these commercials about dairy and just like kind of almost like counteracting like the new Canada Food Guide that came out. And I was like, what? Like there was an ad saying like, oh, like, there's no hormones in dairy. There's, whatever. And then people were like, yeah, there's hormones in dairy. There's, growth hormones to help, a baby cow turn into a big cow. And you're like putting that into your body. Like, you know what I mean?
We've kind of like learned that you can change, and it's okay to say what you did in the past was wrong and I made a mistake. But I find for a lot of people to say what I did was wrong is really hard, and they don't want to do it. But it doesn't make you a bad person that you did something wrong in the past, because nobody's perfect. It's just it's the quote, like, once you know better, do better. So once you know and you've educated yourself, then you can change, and it's okay. And that person you were in the past is still part of you, and that person is still okay.
Like personally, I don't really, I don't really put a lot of blame on like butchers or like farmers and stuff like that. Like that's like, or like anybody who eats meat, really. Like that's just, it's kind of like, how they, how you grow up, and it's like, you have these things like instilled with you, like for your life and stuff like that. And you kind of, maybe in a way, like kind of like lie to yourself or whatever, that, the things you're doing are okay. And you're providing a service, you're helping people like eat and stuff like that. Like, so I don't really, I think that the things that they do are, terrible things, but I don't really blame them so much. It's just like this, this like issue with just like, basically American society or whatever, you know what I mean? That they just don't understand like, what they're doing to like these animals. And I grew up on like a hobby farm. So like I grew up with like, it's, we were like kind of, I don't know, like a 4-acre farm surrounded by like 100-acre farms, you know what I mean? So it's like a small farm but we had, we had chickens in the, the tiny cages and stuff like that, laying eggs, and like chickens that we, brought to butchers, and pigs. And then my mom was also like a dog breeder. A lot of, kind of animal agriculture stuff. And, my neighbors and who were my friends and stuff like that, like they all had like, cows and horses and stuff like that. So I grew up around a lot of that. My dad is an avid hunter. I grew up with, deer heads on the walls, stuff like that. So, I was exposed to like, all this stuff as a kid and everything. And it was like, part of my childhood and life and everything. And like, I was able to change and stuff like that. But then, it's like, I don't really talk to my parents anymore. They just like are not down with the lifestyle and stuff like that. And,
I would be like wearing that t-shirt with you on it if I was your mom.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this is my kid.
Yeah.
He's got Guinness World Record.
Yeah. I'm used to it, but it's a little sad for me that my parents don't care about any of that stuff, to be honest. Like, when I first broke Guinness records, I'm like, hey, check out this video. And then they just like wouldn't reply to me, to be honest. But it makes it easier that Jamie's family is like really supportive, and, some of my biggest fans. Yeah. It's like, I never even really had a conversation with them being like, like they never really asked like why I was vegan or like been like whatever. But just me saying like, okay, I'm like vegan now, was just enough for them to be like, oh, so you think that we're like, awful people and whatever and stuff like that. And, I've kind of like told them like recently, like I've never, said that you were like awful people. Like, I think like, stuff like, and like farming animals and like hunting and stuff like that is terrible things, but I've never, blamed you for it. It's just like, I just think that you just don't understand like the impact that you like have on the lives of others.
My choices are not a reflection of you. So
yeah, for sure. But it's just, yeah, they just don't get it. They just think that it's just like a personal, just me saying like, just having a vegan son is like a personal attack on them, I guess. But, yeah, it's a shame, but I'm just like, I'm not going to change like who I am because
You're
of
literally not hurting anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Really, when you think about it like that, you're not hurting a soul.
Yeah.
So how can that possibly be wrong?
Yeah.
You know?
Sarah just said the word soul, which I was going to say maybe we could wrap up our segment here with talking about how I often feel like my food choices are good for my soul.
Yeah.
There's lots of things I do in life, and there's lots of mistakes ahead where where something doesn't align with what I thought were my values and who I thought I was. We're all flawed in those ways, but there's one consistent line I am walking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that part, at least, you know, when I lay my head down at night, it's good for my soul.
To give you purpose?
Yeah, for sure it does. Even at times when I feel really lost, sometimes I'm thinking, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? And is any of this working that I'm trying to do? Do you guys want to talk about that? How you feel about the role your food choices play for your spirit or your soul or whatever you want to say?
Yeah, for sure. Like Jamie kind of touched on our like interest in like Buddhism and stuff like that. Like I kind of came into Buddhism just I was just interested in you know, different religions. You know, even I don't really see Buddhism as like a religion so much as just like kind of you know, like a way of thinking and feeling. And I just kind of fell into it and noticed that a lot of the stuff that they talk about is stuff that I already believe in and stuff, and it connected me to that. But I just feel like, yeah, it just makes me, I don't know. I just feel like veganism is just like the right thing to do. Like it just, you know, I just, like a lot of people, you know, some people are like, oh, why don't you care about like people the same way you care about animals? And I'm like, I do. That's the whole thing. I don't differentiate between like people and animals. We're all animals. We're all the same. You know what I mean? There's just so many similarities, and I just feel like it's just another, you know, there's obviously, you know, people know that like racism and sexism and, you know, stuff like that is, you know, homophobia, like all that stuff is wrong, but they don't see that like speciesism is wrong as well. Like, why are we, you know, loving some animals and hate and, you know, murdering others? You know what I mean? But yeah, I guess when it comes down to it, it's just, you know, the best thing for me is just to like, you know, lead by example and stuff and do what I feel is right. Like, you know, whether it's for, you know, humans or other animals or whatever. So I guess that's just, I'm just going to do what I think is right. And I just don't really care if people think like what I'm doing is wrong or whatever. It's just, it just seems obvious to me. So
Mike, I grew up with Guinness World Records.
Yeah.
And my kids have like the Guinness World Records every year, the Ripley's, believe it or not, right? It's been part of our life forever. Back in the 70s, the Guinness World Record books was pretty scary, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, but fascinating. And I can't imagine what it would have been like for you. Maybe those books arrived in a box at your home the first time you saw it. I don't know when you first saw it, but what was that like, cracking that open and flipping through the pages and then seeing yourself?
Yeah, it's like, well, like the first time I was in the book, I didn't know I didn't know if I was going to be in the book or not or whatever, because they don't put like everybody in, but I had a contact with Guinness that I've like, you know, sent my stuff to or whatever, and I just asked him if I was in the book, and he said, oh yeah, you're in the book. So I actually, you know, I went to chapters because the book had already come out, and I like looked through it, and I found like I had just like a little blurb in it, and I'm super excited that it just like had my name in it. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. You know, I bought a bunch and gave them to like, you know, family and stuff for Christmas and everything. And then then the second time I had a good feeling that I was in the book, because I got a email from Guinness and they asked for photos and stuff like that. So I sent them a whole bunch of photos, and they kind of said at the time, like, you know, like, you're just, so you know, like, you know, don't be disappointed if you're not in the book, because it's, you know, not a sure thing, but we'll, you know, look at the pictures and we'll decide, like, you know, what the layout will be and stuff like that. And then I saw that there was like, you know, a release for the book, so I was like, I think it's like put together. So I asked the same contact that I had if I was in the book, and yeah, he just said like, oh yeah, you're in the book. So I didn't know like if it was just a little blurb again or if they used a picture or whatever. And yeah, we went to a Chapters and like opened it, and I was like, oh wow, like there's like a half a page like picture, and they had like, you know, a half a page picture. They had like another smaller picture beside it, and then I didn't notice until we were going through it with my friends, but one of their kids pointed out, oh look, there you are right there, and in the corner of the page they had taken the time to make like a little like Where's Waldo type drawing of me. So I was like, wow, like that somebody actually like took the time to like, you know, draw a picture of me like breathing fire and stuff. That was that was a good feeling. And now because, you know, like the Guinness Book is, you know, a little bit behind from when you like submit stuff. So it's actually, you know, as we're talking here, you know, by the time this comes out, the new Guinness Book, like the 2023 book is going to be out probably, because it's, you know, I think it comes out like this week actually. And I don't know if I'm in the book, but Guinness did like a feature video on me, you know, when they named me the world's fastest vegan. They gave me the nickname the Vegan Vacuum, which I thought was like pretty funny. So I'm wondering if they're going to like I still don't know, like if that's going to be like, you know, since I took the time to make like this really funny and just like amazing video about, you know, about my, you know, vegan records and being a vegan speed eater and stuff like that. They took the time to do that. So I'm hoping like maybe they put me in the book again. So, you know, if not, like that's fine. 'Cause, you know, I'm, you know, feel more than happy about, you know, being, you know, a big part of the book last year and stuff like that. But yeah, you know, you always want once you get in there, you know, you want to like always be in there and stuff like that, I guess. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to go to Chapters when it comes out. I think it comes out Tuesday, and just see if I'm in there, I guess. So yeah.
We went on like release day last year and I think we bought like 10 books because we were buying them for family members and that. And then the cashier was kind of like, oh, like this is a lot of books. And then Mike's like kind of shy or like humble. So I was like, oh, he's
You're
in
the
the
coach.
book. Like,
You're like,
yeah.
look at this page.
Yeah, she's kind of like my you know, like manager sort of, right? Like
I
just
love
like,
that.
like check this guy out.
Are you like a really strict handler? Like if I want to talk to him, it's like
Handler.
back off.
Oh,
We'll send you a PR package.
No.
Not yet.
He's kind of like shy a little bit. So I'll be like, just go kind of thing.
That's a good combination. It's a good pair.
Yeah, for sure.
Local writer to Waterloo, David McPherson. And you can walk into the local bookstore and he's gone in there and just signed some copies, just sort of like, you know, silently without any fanfare. Do you ever do that? Do you ever walk into a bookstore and just sign your page?
I haven't, but I've always thought it would be cool to like do like a signing or whatever. But when the book came out, it was all during COVID and stuff like that. So I was like, I don't know if they want like, you know, lines of people or whatever. I don't know. Well, I don't know if I would draw lines of people, but you know, maybe.
We'd go.
Well, just think about
sure.
the volume of that book. Like, I mean, you go to Costco and
Yeah.
like you said, next week or any time now, just in time for Christmas,
Yeah.
that Guinness World Record book will occupy a lot of shelf space.
Yeah.
I think Jamie's got to go out and get some Sharpies. And you guys have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Walmart always has a big display, you know,
Yeah.
Costco, all the big stores. Yeah.
When we would go to Walmart or a superstore, yeah, there's that section where there's the books. So I would take the book and I would flip it to his page, and then I would like have it open.
Yes.
So if people walking by, they would see him. I would do it every time we would
Such
go
a good
Yeah.
there.
idea. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know if we have friends that have books, sometimes like if it's an author that I know, I'll move that book to the front when I'm at the store. For sure I will.
Yeah,
for
I've
sure.
done that.
I'll do it with your book one day.
Okay.
Okay. So that's it. That's the end of episode 3 of Where It All Began. We hope that you learned something about food choices, because we certainly did.
Yeah, Sarah and I are super excited for season 4 and all the amazing shows we're going to bring you.
We're also really excited about our secret side podcast called An Unscripted Spectacle, Wrestling with Wrestling. And it's not actually about wrestling.
No, it isn't. It's about a lot of things.
Mostly life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of laughter.
Yeah, there's tons and tons of laughter.
We're incredibly proud of it. So please check it out on all your streaming platforms. An unscripted, I can't say it. Can you say it?
An unscripted spectacle, wrestling with wrestling. Meow, 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 meow.